let's spill more sound design secret knowledge beans. Hello everyone, I'm Black Marvin, and today once again I will be Georging for a second video of a 3-video series about the secret sound design knowledge hidden inside Carta. If it sounds weird without context, don't worry, it also sounds weird with context, but if you want more context, I suggest you watch the first video because this is a series of 3 videos, and in the second one we are going to see multi-layering generators inside Faceplant. And since this is related to Carta, this is very atmospheric, ambient related, but don't worry, this can all be applied to other styles of sound, and listening to this video will definitely help you get a better and deeper understanding of Faceplant. So without further ado, let's spill more sound design secret knowledge beans. We are inside Faceplant once again, and I'm going to show you a multi-layering technique for generators, and you'll see that once you're set up properly for one generator, it's quite easy to snowball into a full preset. And this is going to be for ambient sound design, atmospheric stuff, although you can definitely take some of these aspects and apply it to sound design for other styles for sure. We start with the blank slate. We're gonna first get a sampler generator. Like I mentioned in the previous video, I'm using the sampler generator because when I did Carta, the granular generator was not yet inside Faceplant, but everything that we're doing today translate very well for the granular generator as well. I'm going to pick a sound source from the Carta pack. We're going to use this analog synth 1 as a sound source first, and I have an idea of what we're going for. I'm not sure if it's going to be dark, angelic, for sure it's going to be ambient. Now we have this. We're going to do 2 things. First, set up a looping point. And secondly, we're going to adjust the attack and the release to make it more atmospheric and pad-like. Nice, that's a great foundation. Now we're gonna bring, well, 1 filter or 2 filters. I'm going to show you a 2 filter technique, but honestly, you can bring as many filters as you want. We'll start with the bandpass, and then I'll show you something. I'm using the non-linear filter here. This is fairly new that you can do this directly in the generators. Before that, there was the distortion and the regular filter. But now we have these, and they are more colorful, and you can inject saturation as well using the drive here. I think I'm going to stay on saturated. And yep, this is a bandpass. So if you want to inject movement inside a pad, something like that, a bandpass sweep, a slow bandpass sweep, it's really great. So if you don't mind, I'm just gonna take a moment and put a reverb here. We know we're going for something ambient, so I'm gonna go for a reverb. And for doing so, I'm gonna use multipass. For my reverb, I'm going to use the middle band, and I'm going to bring a reverb snap in. I've put more size, more decay, and a bit more mix. The reason why I use multipass for my reverb is that these bands now, they give me access to how low the reverb goes in terms of frequency and how high it goes, so I can have a cleaner result. Okay, so now we have a bandpass, right? But we don't have a lot of controls. Yes, we have the cue, but we don't have a lot of controls. What I'm gonna do instead, I'm gonna go with a 2-filter setup. So now I have a high pass and a low pass. I'm just gonna remove a bit of drive because if these two add up, it might add up. But now I have a band pass, but it's just I control it with 2 filters. The missing piece now for our setup, at least for one generator, but the missing piece is one random modulator. You can use the modulator you want if you prefer LFO, if you're an LFO guy or gal. But honestly, the random generator, the way I'm going to set it up, we're going to set up that the lowest random possibility is going to be good and the highest random possibility is going to be good as well. So we're going to have a super nice range of random possibilities happening. Going to get something long like 32 on 16. And smooth is going to be all the way up. And now I'm going to start to assign that to my filters. A lot of things you can do here. I basically did it by hand, but we can see that we are about plus 27, right? What I can do, two options. I can do a very similar modulation for the low pass one. So right now, both of these, they are at 30 and you can see that they move at the exact same rate, at the exact same pace. Another thing we can do is actually have this one flip on the opposite, polarity. So you can see that instead of just having a spectrum sweep that is, moving at the same pace, you have something that is sort of almost like breathing. You can see it's opening and closing. And that actually might translate well in our multi-layered setup. So let's see how this sounds. Now, the only thing that you need to make sure is that just make sure that your lowest random value, for example, on this one on the top, make sure that the lowest still works in your setup in a sense that make sure that your lowest doesn't dissolve everything and just go all the way to the left and sort of ruin your result. You want all your possibilities to be in the range of something good. So I'm just going to verify that, but it sounds fine, but it's a bit of adjustment. You might, along your process, you might have to go back and just tweak that a bit. So either, start your modulation on a higher position or just have a lesser value for your modulation, something more subtle, or you might actually go for something that, bigger movement. So this is good. You can see that there's enough movement, but when it closes all the way down, it's still there. So this is going to be good for our setup. Now, honestly, from there, it gets pretty simple and you can use some of the features of the Kilohearts ecosystem to make it snowball pretty quickly. So, like I said, we have a nice setup here. What I'm going to do is control left click. Now, I'm just going to go through this very similar process, but faster because everything is linked up. I'll probably change the modulation position, the modulation values, but I'm all set already. So for a second source, I picked Reverb Redo. This one is available in Carta as well. One thing though is I'm going to duplicate this random, unlink our previous one from the new source, and then just going to use another random modulator for the second one because it's going to be at the same rate, but it's going to move in a different fashion from the first one. So they are almost like going to dance with one another. Also, this one, I might choose to maintain a bit more low frequency content. So I'm going to have possibly a modulation that goes deeper in the low frequency. All right, now we're going to use the unison function here. And we're going to have some fun. Okay, so the idea is to take one of these three algorithms. We'll see about freq stack, pitch stack, or octaves. And we're just going to duplicate the number of voices to cover a wider range on the spectrum. But the way these duplicate the voices can create some really cool result. We'll see about that. So that's freq stack, and this is the original signal. Pitch stack. So with this, I don't know if you heard, but you can sort of take a very low frequency oriented source, but then with the blend, obviously, you can bring more high frequency content. Finally, octaves. So when we're talking about multi-layering, that's definitely an easy way to just get more voices and get just a wider sound. I think I'm going to go with freq stack, but with a very low blend because I really just like the original signal, how cinematic it sounds. And now we're going to bring back the first generator. Now from here, sound design wise, is just a fine tune that movement, so it still gets interesting. You want it to blend, but also like change over time. This is all, adjustment of all those filters. And, you can throw in some more filters if you want some notches. I'll show you. So for this one, I'll use a regular filter. I'll just use that notch here. And we're going to do something crazy. We're going to use the second random modulator, which so far we've only used for our second source. Now we're going to use it on the first source. I really like that notch result, so I'm going to replicate that on the second, the reverb redo source. I'm literally just going to copy this one. But we're going to mirror it. So this one is going to have the first random modulator. So I don't know if you understand, but we're sort of crossing the random modulators. This could all be the same one, but we're just adding more mirrored randomness. And voila. Now let's see how this blends. That's really cool. And so far, the sources I've used are really, those are not too extravagant. So it's still like a synthetic analog pad. And then we have a like reverberated DJ reduced style. So it's still like, it's nothing too crazy. But now we're going to bring back crazy. So for those who watched first video, we're going to bring back an element that we crafted before. Okay, so you might remember diffractor, which we did in first video. I'll show you how it sounds with the mix all the way up, but we're just, it's like a rare spice, you just want to have a bit of it. If you have too much, it's gonna ruin your meal. So just a bit of diffractor, although I'll show you how it sounds all the way up. So that's great. Snowball is the keyword for me here, and might be my Canadian roots talking, but I don't know if you've ever seen like a snowball tumbling down the hill. It rolls down, it catches more snow and it becomes bigger. But that's sometimes how I feel inside Faceplant. In a sense, the more you work, the faster you can go, because you can see now I have this diffractor, and you can guess it, I have a bunch of them that I saved from previous sound design sessions. So now you can get these out quickly. So you just work faster. And speaking of working faster, I'm going to add a third layer. And this one I'll do faster because you've seen the process, but I just think this needs a bit more like a third layer. And the idea of today was to show a multi-layering technique. So 2 is good, but why not 3? Last one I brought is cicadas, and those are, it's an insect noise. So this one is going to act more as a texture layer. And I think with this one, with this unison technique, we can really like butter it up all the way. And, with this texture, if you add more voices, it's going to sound really cool. Yep, I think that's a nice setup. Let's bring the other sources back. Now there's one last thing missing. It's just the little cherry on top. Gonna bring an NOTT. This is really going to beef up everything that we have, especially, this is a upward and downward compressor. So it's gonna bring all those unheard levels. And this is just for an ambient preset like that, it's going to really benefit from it. And it's also going to help just like level out everything add more consistency. And that's pretty much the multi-layering technique I wanted to show. Some key elements to remember. You can change the sources, you can change the filter movement up to your taste, and you can definitely change those snap stacked snap E presets. And if you want to know more about that, don't forget to check out the first video. This is all explained. And yeah, that's now another piece of the puzzle. And that's it for this video. If you're currently running the Kilohearts subscription, or if you bought the bank, you have access to Carta. But as you saw in this video, I used a lot of the Carta sound source. So don't hesitate to, Carta is not, yes, it's the bank, but it's a Kilohearts content bank. So there's the presets, but there's also the source. So now with this technique, you can definitely just branch off, go rogue, and create some custom expansions of Carta for yourself using these sound source. Speaking of sound source, in the next and last video of this series, we're going to learn how to create some rich sound source for this exact style of synthesis for yourself so you can use them in your own sound design. If you're not yet subscribed to the Kilohearts channel, I would advise you to do so you don't miss the next video of this series, as well as some really cool sound design snacks. And basically all the Kilohearts news, they go through this channel. So it's just a good way to get informed. If you're not on the newsletter, or if you tend to miss that, at least you won't miss that on YouTube. And I will see you in the next and last video of this series. Happy producing. Here we are, once again, we are inside Faceplant. It would be weird if we weren't. We are going to create a source that we will be able to use for sounds in the style of Carta.